Welcome to Mixed Media Friday. To start this page, I'm going to start off by using some tissue paper by Seven Gypsies, I believe. And then I'm just going to use some golden gel multi-medium and apply it on both of my pages. Now when I'm applying the tissue paper, what I'm doing is I don't want it to be flat. I want to create a little bit of texture. So as I apply it, I'm kind of scrunching it up. So as you see the fold and little creases, I'm actually doing that on purpose. I really don't want it to be straight and perfect. So as I apply it like that, I just kind of fold. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the excess. Then I'm grabbing some mesh bling that I have in my stash, and it's just any color will do. It doesn't matter what color you have. So if you have any sort of mesh bling in your stash, just use it. This happens to be by Carla S001. And all I'm doing right now is just cutting it up and applying it with a hot glue gun, because I find that the mesh is so heavy that if you apply it with anything else, it'll kind of fall off. So hot glue gun works really great, or beacon glue is just perfect for something like this. So that's what I'm doing right now, and just watch if you are using a hot glue gun, your fingers, the glue will seep through the little holes, so you gotta watch that you don't burn your fingers. Just an FYI. I did that while filming, even though you can't tell. My fingers were pretty sore by the end of this. Then I'm going to take some fluid gesso by Liquitex, and I just happen to have a little tag laying around, so I applied it on there. But if you have a dish, you can use a dish. It doesn't really matter, and I'm just applying it because I don't want the shininess of the mesh bling to come through. I just want to use it for texture. So as I said before, it doesn't matter what color you use of mesh bling, just you grab whatever color you have and apply some gesso. Next, I'm actually going to use that tag that I had because I think it'll create some really funky texture on there as well. So I'm using again my gel medium and applying it on my page just like so. And then I'm going to grab a couple other tags and do the same thing. Apply some multi-medium and then put some gesso. And my favorite gesso to use is the Liquitex gesso. I just love it. It's my favorite. It's the one I go to all the time. People ask me how come. I have no idea. It's what I've always used, and I'm just kind of stuck with it. So that's what I'm doing. So right now I'm just creating a lot of texture with the gesso, applying it all over the place, just making it really messy. And then and make sure you dry this, and then now I'm going to grab a Crafter's Workshop stencil and Hibiscus Rose Flat Fabio, and I'm just spraying it randomly on my page. And because there's some gesso, the gesso actually resists this sprays quite a bit, so you'll find that you're not going to get the best spray when you have gesso on your page, but I actually wanted that effect, which is why I did that. So as you can see, the pattern didn't show up perfectly, but that is the look that I was going for. I'm grabbing a second stencil, and I'm going to be using some more Flat Fabios, and you can go to my website to find out the colors I'm using, but this is Caribbean Blue, or Caribbean Blue, however you say it, and just very randomly applying some blue throughout my page. And then I always love to use the excess, so I did apply it to the back of that page. Now I'm just grabbing some heavy body black acrylic and using another stencil by the Crafter's Workshop and creating some more textured effect. I really love the stencil because it's just some random text, I guess, and so it creates a really, really fun effect. And I'm really trying to get it in there so that it really goes on the mesh bling properly. Just really trying to get in there, and I don't want to do the entire stencil, so I'm just using portions of the stencil to apply to the page. And I'll be doing that throughout my page. And as you get to portions where the mesh bling is, you just really have to press down and almost rub it around, almost twirl it around in a circular motion to ensure it gets in those little ridges. Otherwise, it's not going to show through. I'll be honest, I had no idea where I wanted to take this page next, so I just decided to grab my watercolors and just start painting. I knew that I was really unmotivated when I started this page. I didn't know what I was going to do, and I was just having kind of a funky day, and so I was just playing. I had no idea where it was going to go, and I really liked one of those colors from my watercolor set, so that I just started applying it throughout the page. And that's all I'm doing there. Creating a little bit of shading. Next, I'm grabbing a stamp by Tim Holtz. And I love it. I had never used it before. I just purchased it. I've been eyeing it for a long, long time. So it is a Stampers Anonymous stamp. And again, you can find all that information on my website. And I'm just using black StazOn ink, because if I am going to be spraying or putting anything else on the tag, I want to ensure that it doesn't run. And so what I really love to do is, this is another one of Tim Holtz stamps, and I'm going to randomly be applying it throughout my page. But in the next segment, what you'll see is I'm going to grab one of his stamps, and I'm going to be using some acrylic paint to paint with it, which is coming up right away. So here I'm grabbing some acrylic paint, and I wanted a little bit of a color, I wanted it to pop a little bit. So that's why I grabbed a color that would be a little bit brighter, but I didn't want too much brightness. So I'm just applying it with a small brush, and I'm not trying to be perfect. It's not going to show up as perfect. I just wanted a little bit of more texture on my page. So I'm applying a little bit more paint on that hand and applying it randomly. And if you saw it in person, the hand shows up actually quite beautifully with that acrylic paint, and it gives it a little bit of texture, which is just beautiful. And all I'm doing is I'm actually grabbing a baby wipe, and then I just took it to my sink and washed it off, and it washed off just perfectly. And then just to apply a little bit of shading with my brush throughout my page to tie it together. Right here, I'm just grabbing my extra fluid acrylic ink by Liquitex and just creating a circle, because what I want to do is I want to enhance the title of the page. And I found that it just kind of got lost in the page, so that's all I'm doing there. And then I'm applying a little bit of my black gelatos and just rubbing it with my fingers. And I'm doing that throughout my page. And what it does is it allows certain sections of the page to really pop out versus just all blending in. It allows the texture that we put down to just start to pop. Now I was watching some of Tim Coffey's old videos, and I just watched him use his hot glue gun to create some really funky effects, and so I really wanted to mimic some of those techniques that I haven't used in such a long time. I used them in my Ustream video the other day, and I just wanted to do that again on my art journal. I got motivated to do that again, so I pulled out my hot glue gun and started to apply strings of kind of creating a branch like effect, if you will, doesn't, or veins, and you'll see the cool effect in a moment. Now I'm just taking white gesso, and I know it's hard for you to see, but all I'm doing is following those little strands of hot glue throughout my page and coloring them in white gesso. And I did this off camera as well because I applied a second layer, as I found that once the gesso dried, it beaded a little bit, so you needed a second layer to ensure that they showed up a little bit better. But that's the process that I'm doing. And you have to make sure that all your paint is dry prior to you putting hot glue on your page, or it'll start to sizzle and bubble, as I found while doing this page. I know I'm a little bit off frame, and I'm really sorry about that. Sometimes when I get into it, it's kind of hard to tell whether I'm on frame or off frame. And I know it's a little bit hard to see. You will have photos at the end of this video, so you can see the detail of the page significantly better. So I'm continuing to do this throughout the page, and then now I'm just applying a little bit of white gesso around the edges of my page to blend everything together and tie it all in, because it was a little bit too dark for me. And then off camera I noticed that I needed a little bit more veins, so I did add that, as you'll see in the pictures. So I want to thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for an amazing giveaway.